What if I told you there was a simple formula that was the key to your success in business? Would you use it? Most of you will not. Statistically, there's about 10 to 15% of you that will watch this and will actually do the work that it takes to be successful in your business using this method. The rest of you, you'll watch videos like this and then you'll settle for mediocrity, not do the work, and then you'll wonder why everybody else around you's lucky. I want to talk to those of you who are in that 10 to 15%. Those who know that there is no such thing as get rich quick or a shortcut to success. The method that I'm about to lay out is very simple, but it's not easy. And those two things are very distinct. It is very simple. It is not easy. I call it the sustainable success method. I know the name is shit. If you have suggestions for a new name for this thing, please, by all means, I'm open. I know it's a terrible name, but for now, it's the sustainable success method because that's exactly what it is. It's sustainable success over time, building something meaningful with a strong foundation. So if you're not up for that, no problem, no feelings hurt. Go ahead and skip over this video. But if you want to build something that you can sustain for life, that you can build that's meaningful, that will touch many lives, that will be successful beyond what you could imagine, then pay attention because I'm going to go through detail of all 5 phases of the sustainable success method with you right now. And I'm going to say it again as a bit of a warning. There is no get rich quick. There is no shortcut to success. It will require work. Now let's dive in. The best way I know to make this method very clear and usable for you today is to use a story or an analogy. So if you want to, you can close your eyes. We're going to use our imaginations a bit. If you're driving, of course, don't close your eyes. You can use your mind's eye. It's just as powerful. So go ahead and close your eyes if you want to. Imagine you're going to build your dream home. What comes to your mind first? What do you start thinking about? Maybe it's the way the house looks from the outside. Maybe it's the wide open floor plan from the kitchen to the family room, to the living room, to the bedrooms. Now let's imagine that you're going to take all of those thoughts and you're actually going to put them to paper. You find an architect that you really trust and they get your style and they seem to understand how you want this thing to look. It's so important to you that it looks right. So you partner with this architect and they draw up the plans, every detail, how the walls come together, the size of the bedrooms. They start to make notes about the materials that you're going to use. Once they're perfect, you realize, well, we got to get this thing engineered. We got to make sure that this is something that is sustainable, something that can withstand the weather and the elements, the possible earthquakes or floods or rain or snow. So you take it to an engineer and they start to detail out every piece of material that must be used, the beams, the studs, the walls, what's load bearing, the trusses. Now we're starting to get a full picture of what this process might actually look like to build this home. Having such clear plans and engineering, you get the confidence and you're ready to go. Let's actually build this thing. Let's make it real. So where are we going to build it? We start to look for the land. You find the perfect spot. You have to get the soil tested so that you can dig the hole, make sure that it's going to support the building that you want to build. Now you start thinking about financing. How am I going to fund this project? Am I dipping into my savings? Do we have enough in our savings in order to build this home? Do we have to get financing? Then we start thinking about the disciplines it's going to take in order to complete this project. Well, we're going to have to find contractors. We're going to have to schedule them. We need to figure out the timeline. If any problems arise, or if a contractor does something other than what we ask them to do, we're going to have them rework it. We're going to have them fix whatever it is needs to be fixed so that it's exactly the way that we planned it to be. We do not settle for anything other than what we said we were going to do, even if it requires us to work a little bit harder than we thought, spend a little bit more money than we thought, or find new resources that we didn't yet know existed. Until finally, we're sitting in a finished home that we dreamt up. Now you can go ahead and open your eyes. Now we're going to talk about the 5 phases. I'm going to use this story or this analogy or this visualization to illustrate the 5 phases within the sustainable success method. So let's dive in. Phase 1. I call this phase what if. This is the imagination phase. This is the vision phase. Just like imagining the house, before it even exists in plans, you're starting to think about what you want. using your past experience and what you hope the experience is for the future. Most entrepreneurs skip the vision phase, or they get it really, really general and not specific. Steve Jobs says, if you're working on something exciting that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. In order to be excited about it, it must be detailed. In order to be able to follow it, it must be detailed. Most people keep this much too general, or they never even do it. Some people think the vision phase is bullshit. I'm telling you, this is the foundation of everything to come. You must do this part well, or everything else crumbles. So how do we actually do that? Like, how do we get our thoughts down into something that's usable? Well, first, time period. I want you to think first in 12 months. You're going to create a 12-month vision for yourself. We also want to do a 3-year vision. I heard this saying once. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's kind of interesting. We overestimate what we can accomplish in a year. We underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 years. Now, 5 years is a little too far out to make it real, at least for me and for the clients that I work with. So we focus on 12 months and 3 years. How do we start to formulate these thoughts? One really good way, the way that I use it's worked for me best, is to outline my ideal day. So what does my ideal day look like? Typical day look like in 12 months? What does a typical ideal day look like in 3 years? I listed out in very detail when I want to wake up, what I'm eating for breakfast, what's my morning routine, how much time am I working, when I'm working, how much time am I spending on what tasks, all of that sort of stuff. Very, very detailed. I detail out my ideal day. Then I reverse engineer that day. What would need to be in place in order for me to spend my time like this? Now the vision is going to start to formulate, because now my business has to look a certain way for me to be able to have this day. My role has to look a certain way. My time spent has to look a certain way. I'd need to fulfill certain roles and all that sort of stuff, but that's action. We'll get to that in just a minute. You see the level of detail and care that I'm using to write this vision. We're coming up with the plans. You cannot build the house. The contractors will not know what to do if the plan isn't clear and detailed. Now I want you to write the vision out as if you have achieved it. The mind can't distinguish between an imaginary experience or a real experience. So when you write your 12-month vision and your 3-year vision out, I want you to actually feel it. Feel it. It's so important, as if you have already accomplished it. What that will do is it will turn the brain on, thinking that we're already there, we can make the decisions, and it will make the decisions needed in order to achieve it. Be detailed, be clear, feel it. Phase 2, I call making it real. This is like drawing the plans up, getting them engineered, and getting them submitted to the city. This phase is very, very simply put. We're getting connected with current reality and the distance or the gap it is from the vision. We want to be clear about the gap from current reality to where we're going. Now, it's just like a road trip. If I want to get to New York, and I think I'm in Phoenix, but I'm actually in San Francisco, I'm going to make all the wrong decisions to get there, and I'm never going to wind up there unless I reevaluate, look at the feedback, then get connected to where I currently am. So it's so important. Just the vision is getting connected to current reality is just as important, just as vital as getting connected to the vision. You must know where you are, where you're starting from in detail. What are your financials? Who's on your team? What are the resources available to you currently right now? You must know where that is, and you must be clear on what the gap is between where you are and where you're going. For example, if you did 100K in revenue this year and you want to do 600K in revenue next year, the difference is 500K. You must get very specific about how many new clients or products you need to sell in order to get there, and then what that's going to require from your sales, from your marketing, from your operations. All of that stuff must be detailed out, because we have to be familiar with the gap. If you don't know the gap, you don't know the mountain you're climbing, you don't know the equipment that's going to be needed, you don't know the timetable, you have no idea, and you're going to be consistently surprised by what it's going to take. The final part of phase 2 is to commit. Make the hire, employ your team, make the investment, whatever you got to do to initiate and put your name on the line. Put something on the line in order to make this thing happen. Phase 3, fill the gap. This is where the work gets done. Now, this is where most people focus. They skip phase 1, they kind of do phase 2, and then phase 3, they just jump into work. The problem with that is that it's aimless work. And there's a lot of wasted time, energy, money, resources if we don't engage phase 1 and phase 2 first. Now we're in phase 3, we can actually get to work. We can do the disciplines. We can engage the disciplines that's going to fill the gap between where we are and where we're going. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, that's the vision, and then do whatever you have to do. In this phase, you want to get clear on your commitments. What are your commitments to yourself, to your family, to your team, to your clients, to your community? I would write out those commitments. What am I committed to with my time, with my money, with my attention, with my love? Get clear on those commitments. Implement the disciplines that are needed to fill the gap. So just with the revenue gap that we talked about in phase 2, what needs to happen? Do I need to employ more sales? Or does our sales need to perform better? And what disciplines are going to, maybe sales training is needed. Maybe operations needs new systems or more systems. Whatever disciplines are needed to fill the gap, this is where we implement them. Evaluate every decision and action against the vision. You must evaluate every decision and action against the vision, just like the plans. Every contractor, the framer, the electrician, the plumber, whatever, whoever comes to work on your house, they're going to open the plans first. That's the vision. And then every decision and action they take must be in line with what's in the plan. Same thing with you. Take your plan so seriously that every decision and action is measured against it. Accept nothing but what gets you closer to the vision. Let me say that again. Accept nothing but what gets you closer to the vision. My guess is in life, you've been willing to tolerate things that don't support your vision. If you want to be successful beyond belief, you cannot tolerate anything that doesn't get you closer to the vision. If you had an electrician come in and do the rough-in and something wasn't right or something was dangerous, you wouldn't just look over it because you don't want to have a hard conversation. You would go to the electrician, give them the feedback, and expect them to correct the problem before you move on to the next phase. Because if you moved on to the next phase, put the drywall up or the wall coverings, you just buried the problem. Same thing with your vision. I can't stress this enough. You must only accept that would get you closer to the vision, which contributes to exactly what you want. All right, phase 4. Phase 4 I call only results. This is our accountability phase. And in fact, it's not a chronological phase. So it doesn't come after 3. It's actually weaved into 1, 2, and 3. It's us becoming accountable to the vision, the current reality, and the gap or the disciplines that we're committed to doing that will close that gap. Just like we submit plans to the city and we're accountable to them to build the structure in this way, to have the right engineering, the right materials, they're going to inspect it. Sometimes the inspections will fail and we'll have to make changes. This is that. This is that for your success, for the vision, for the business you say you want. Set up systems of accountability for yourself, for your team, for your family, for your community. Set systems for accountability. Make them clear, specific, and regular. Check in as often as needed in order to stay on track for your vision. Pay close attention to the feedback you're getting. I'm going to say that again. Pay close attention to the feedback you're getting. This will tell you whether you're feeling the gap or not. And when you do get distracted, or when you do chicken out, or when you do go back on your disciplines, don't worry. The feedback will show you what's needed. Just take that, start implementing it now. Now is all we have. Phase 5, I call what's next. You see, the beauty of this method is that it's cyclical. It just turns. So phase 5, we start thinking about what's next. We've built and we've closed the gap, and that's going to automatically bring up for us, what do we want now? And what it does is it introduces us back into phase 1. Seneca said this: if your soul be habitually in practice, if you're constantly practicing, you will plead and teach, listen and learn, investigate and meditate. What more is necessary? The idea is to create a life where we're continuously or habitually in practice. That's what this method is. We're practicing success, and it's cyclical, and we do it again and we do it again and we do it again. until we die, until we're out of our business, until we sell it or close it, and in every other phase of life until we're dead. So as I stressed earlier, this is not complex. You've probably heard all of the things that I've talked about in this method already, maybe not piecing them together quite as holistically as I have here, but each phase is so necessary to building the success that you say you want. Now, in this process of implementing this method, you're going to come against some tough decisions and some conflicted conversations, and it's going to require you to correct people. It's going to require you to correct yourself. It's going to require you to do things that you don't want to do in the moment. That's what disciplines are. You may think it's confidence that you need in order to carry out this method, and I would say actually it's not confidence that you need. Go ahead and watch this video I did about how confidence is a lie and what you should do instead. Peace.